In 2023, I made a decision to go from Miami to Egypt on my first international trip out of the country. And it was definitely one of the greatest decisions that I've ever made, and it definitely transformed me in ways that I can't even accurately, truly describe. The first trip was definitely eye-opening to the different monoliths and things that existed in ages before, but at the same time, the modern conditions of the modern Egyptians. I went to Cairo and stayed in Cairo for a couple of weeks, and then I went to Luxor and stayed in Luxor for a few weeks. And both experiences were amazing. Both experiences, had ups and downs and different, nuances to it that I either enjoyed or didn't. But I appreciated the journey either way. I went on to Dubai and stayed in Dubai for a month, and that was another brilliant experience in itself. Just to see a different reality, although I do feel now that I'm in retrospect that, it's kind of it's a made-up city overall, so it's the imagination of someone. So as amazing as it is, I found that I loved America a lot more, but that's another topic. But yeah, I went to Dubai. Dubai was absolutely amazing. It was a great experience. A lot of luxury, and we all love luxury to one degree or another. But I moved on, went back to the United States for a little while, went to Costa Rica, stayed in Costa Rica for a month. That was amazing as well. Nature, nature's my thing, getting out into nature just in general. And I stayed in nature, so it was absolutely amazing. Then moved on to Colombia and stayed in Colombia for 3 months. I'm telling this story because it's a story of perseverance. It's a story of karmic loops and timeline hopping and jumping and all of that good stuff, because from my perspective, that's exactly what I was doing. I was hopping into different timelines, different realities, some fully a part of my mission and some kind of like side missions, so to speak, within my reality. And I was able to see the divine hand within whatever choice I made. And each choice I made ended up being amazing because it got me here. But even as I look back at the movie of my life, or especially my life in this past couple of years, I can see how absolutely divinely written it was. You know what I mean? And not only that, but in a conscious way, as I'm living my life, I'm projecting outwardly what I desire, what I want to create, what I want to build within my reality. And I'm seeing the mirror of my true belief in what I'm experiencing. I see it in my world. So this is the main reason why I was telling this story. And all of this was done with, I wasn't really working as much. I was really working for myself. I had a couple of jobs that were online gigs, quantum art, and I worked for Stakeholders Food and a bunch of other companies that I worked for, and obviously blockchain was absolutely huge in me being able to do what I do. But the trip in 2023 ended with me coming back to New York ultimately. And when I came back to New York, right back into the cycle, right back into one of my old cycles, but a new being, right? So you kind of graduate throughout these cycles is what I've been witnessing. As you go and move on to traveling different timelines, traveling different realities, then most of us see it as failure when you get back to the same timeline, but it's really karmic debts. It's really karmic energies that you haven't finalized, that you haven't finished yet, that you got to go back and kind of like wrap up, so to speak. But nonetheless, I came back to New York. And when I came back to New York, I had lost my job and then my online gig. And then I tore my Achilles, yeah? I tore my Achilles, and that put me down, that sat me down. So from 2023, for about 6 months, I was traveling the world, then 2024, I tore my Achilles and I had to sit down, like totally sit down. Now, if you're a athlete, then you know that tearing your Achilles is a pretty big deal. It's a huge injury for an athlete. Um, and yeah, it shook me. It shook my life. It shook my reality. But it also pulled me back towards my spirit. It pulled me back towards soul. Because as I was traveling, as I was making money and doing all that good stuff, I was I was inward, but I wasn't as inward as I was supposed to be. And I realized that that mission was simply to build my awareness past my immediate environment and see other realities, see other worlds, be in it, but as the God being, as the soul. So I had to heal, and when I healed, it was a year-long healing. It was, you know what I'm saying, still kind of healing, almost like energy, you know what I mean? Um, but it was a year-long healing, and then as soon as I healed back up, I went right back on the road and went right back to Egypt. And I stayed in Egypt for about 6 months. And this was this year that we're speaking in. So I was in Egypt for about 6 months and I spent a month in Dubai. And I learned so much from this latest trip, so much about myself, so much about life, so much about reality, so much about relationships, so much about building, so much about soul and graduation, really. And the trip was profound. The trip was profound. It transformed me 100% into the being that I am now. Now that I'm back in the States, I feel like, but even as I was out there, like there was this nagging feeling like I got to get back to the States eventually. And, but at the same time, it was like, I got to experience this. So I had like the dual idea, but I knew I had to get back to the States. I felt like I had to end the movie from my perspective. That's, consciousness running through me. Like, yo, like you got to get back over here and end this movie. And that's what I feel like is happening if you look around at the world. But the trip was amazing. And it transformed me. And I'm so grateful to be here now, right? Like with all the experiences, with all the people that I've met, with all the synchronicities and serendipitous happenings. There's one serendipitous happening that I really have to touch on really quickly. So I was in, when I told you guys I was in Colombia a couple years ago. I was invested in a coin called XDC. And this was 2 years ago. And then fast forward the trip that I just took, I went to Abu Dhabi and I went to like one of the work cafe places, not a cafe, it was like a workstation, pretty much like everybody comes together, shared workspace. And so I was just sitting there, I was doing my work. And as I was doing my thing, and as I was doing my thing, I turned to my left and I seen a guy, he had a vest on it that said XDC on it. And I'm like, what? Like, wait a minute. So I just jumped up immediately. Hey, what's up, man? Like, not to bother you. Hey, look, I see you're, into XDC and Zenfin, and that's one of my favorite cryptocurrencies. And we ended up chopping it up. We ended up talking. We ended up exchanging, information. So that was a huge synchronicity, and it showed me that the deeper you do the work, the deeper you're going within yourself. Once you actually focus on whatever it is that you focus on, it it's made manifest in reality. And that's really the point of this, the perseverance of me tearing my Achilles, going on this long trip. And I felt like it was like a detour. Like this trip was sort of like a detour, but a detour that I needed to become who I am now and moving forward, what I will become. So yeah, and throughout this obviously is going to be some visuals of what I was doing. There's so many different nuances of these stories. Maybe I'll go into depth one day, but not too much into depth. I'll go into depth one day, like in regards to like how the streets were and how things, but that's not really like my aim right now in regards to being in these places. It's more so to just tell the story of perseverance and how we are here. We are in a moment where our manifestations are at our beck and call. They're right here. Like it's not the same mechanisms that we use to manifest our realities have fallen away. So we don't have to lean on the idea of like scarcity and fear and anxiety when it comes to creating our reality. I appreciate y'all for listening, man. It means the world. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, the whole 9 yards. Tell me about your experiences. How are you experiencing the ascension right now? How does it feel, right? And What are your manifestations? What have you been gathering from your journey? You are loved, honored, and respected as if you are me, because you are me. Link will be below to my link tree. All things MoonManT will be there. I love you. Peace.